Have you ever stopped to think about how you'd watch a totally silent movie, or how someone who can't hear would be able to follow your favorite podcast? These aren't just little thought experiments. They're real, actual barriers that people run into all over the web. So, let's talk about how we can make sure the amazing things we create can actually reach everyone, no matter how they see or hear the world.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into why media that only uses one sense is a problem. Then, we'll get into the practical fixes for both audio and video. After that, we'll look at some common mistakes so you know what to avoid. And finally, we'll wrap up with why doing all this is actually amazing for everybody involved.
So, let's get right to the heart of it. Anytime your content relies only on sound or only on visuals, you're basically building a wall. And for anyone who can't see or can't hear, that wall is totally real. It might not be on purpose, but it effectively locks people out.
Just imagine this for a second. You've got this beautiful, super detailed animation that explains a really complex topic, but it's completely silent. You can see all the parts moving around, but you're totally missing the story, the why behind it all. Now, let's flip that on its head. Think about your favorite podcast, or maybe a really important company-wide announcement. For anyone who's deaf or hard of hearing, that audio file is like a locked box. All the information is in there, but they just don't have the key to open it. So what's the fix? Well, at its core, it's actually pretty simple. We just need to provide a text version that captures all the important info, and this is key, in the right order. Now, the official kind of technical name for this is an alternative for time-based media. Don't get hung up on the jargon. Just remember the big idea, a text version that tells the same story.
Okay, let's tackle audio first. How do we give a voice, so to speak, to content that people literally can't hear? Well, the number one solution is a really good transcript.
Now, making a great transcript is way more than just copying and pasting a script. First, start with the script if you have one, but then you've got to listen and correct it to match what was actually said. This next part is crucial. You have to identify who is talking. And then, and this is the part people often forget, you add in important sounds like applause or laughter, because that's all part of the context. Finally, just pop a link to that transcript right next to your audio player. Simple as that.
All right, so that's audio covered. What about the other side of the coin? Video-only stuff, like a silent animation or some B-roll footage. The goal is exactly the same. We need to provide the missing piece of the story.
And it turns out we have two fantastic options here. The first one should sound familiar, a detailed text transcript. So if you've got a silent animation showing how to assemble a chair, the transcript would describe every single step, every screw, every piece. The second option is an audio description track. This is literally a separate audio file that describes what's happening on screen. So you could be watching that silent footage from a Mars rover, and a narrator would be describing the spaceship landing as it happens. Pretty cool, right?
Look, providing an alternative is a huge step in the right direction, but it's also surprisingly easy to mess it up. So let's go over a couple of common ways this can go wrong, just so you know what to watch out for.
Okay, this is probably one of the biggest and most common failures. Someone puts in some text, but it's completely useless. Imagine a screen reader just announcing chart.jpg or image. That tells the user absolutely nothing. It might technically be text, but it completely fails the whole point of the exercise. It doesn't give them the information.
Now here's another critical mistake. Your alternative has to be complete. It has to provide the same information. In this example, someone had a map of Olympic venues, and the alternative text listed all the venues, but it didn't say where they were on the map. So it gave some info, but not the same info. If your alternative is incomplete, it's a failure. It just doesn't count.
So we've gone through the rules, the techniques, the things to avoid, but let's zoom out for a minute. Why are we really doing this? I promise you, this isn't just about ticking a box on some compliance checklist. It's about making the web fundamentally better for everyone. The ripple effect here is just massive. I mean, obviously it opens up your world to people with visual or hearing impairments. It can also be a huge help for people with cognitive or learning disabilities. But here's the kicker, the part you might not expect. It's a huge benefit for you, the creator. Transcripts make your audio and video content searchable by Google and other engines. That's a massive boost. And all that text can instantly be turned into a blog post or an article. It's a true win-win. Better access for users, better reach for your content.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you create something, just ask yourself, is this really speaking to everyone who might want to engage with it? Because taking these simple steps we just talked about, that's how you make sure the answer is a confident yes.